Thanks for joining me today. I'd like to start by noting that today marks the 150th anniversary of the proclamation of the Manitoba Act, which created the province of Manitoba. It was passed by the Parliament of Canada and received royal assent on May 12, 1870. And it was proclaimed on July 15, 1870. Je voudrais commencer par noter qu'aujourd'hui marque le 150e anniversaire de la proclamation de l'Acte du Manitoba qui a créé la province de Manitoba. Under the leadership of Louis Riel, negotiations began between the Canadian Parliament and the Red River Métis, resulting in the passage of the Manitoba Act. And Manitoba remains the only Canadian province to join Canada under Indigenous leadership. Today also marks the 100th anniversary of the opening of what I consider the most beautiful legislative assembly in the country of Canada, our Manitoba Legislative Building. And I'll be joining later today the Lieutenant Governor and the Speaker of our House at an event to rededicate the building. We are leading the country in recovery, and there is a reason for that. It is because of the willingness of Manitobans to adhere to the fundamentals. And here is one of the fundamentals that we have used in designing our recovery programs. We have targeted our programs with a focus to helping Manitobans get back to work. And we've done that from the beginning with the right program at the right time. We knew there'd be a problem for our young people. Given the realities of our economic challenges with COVID, we knew we had to encourage young people and we had to build opportunities for young people, and we created those opportunities. And I am tremendously proud to say today that we have already created close to 9,000 additional positions for young people and lead the country in reducing youth unemployment. And I can tell you that those numbers are rising and that young people are continuing to find employment in Manitoba, but we are already quadruple any previous year for creating employment for young people in our province. Nous avons soutenu la création de près de 10 000 postes supplémentaires pour les jeunes. Et maintenant, nous menons le pays dans l'emploi des jeunes. To support and complement the federal government's programs, we introduced our Manitoba Gap Protection Program. It offered $6,000 in direct financial support for Manitoba businesses to help them get back up on their feet. And we've already had over 7,500 applications come in and be approved. Over $45 million has gone to small businesses in our province to support them as they endeavor to face up to the challenges of this pandemic. Our GAP program was not designed to solve all the problems of every small business in Manitoba. We all know that that is not a real possibility, but it was designed to help those businesses who were falling through the cracks of the federal support programs. Today I'm happy to announce that we're going to be extending the deadline for this program till the end of August. And we encourage Manitoba businesses, many of whom are just getting back up on their feet now, to apply. In addition, we introduced our Manitoba Job Restart program to assist in addressing the reality of the design flaw in the CERB program. And I'll say again, and I must say again because there seems some confusion on this, we're not arguing against the CERB program, nor have we ever. We're arguing for a design change in the CERB program that will make it work better. The present CERB program penalizes people once they make over $1,000 by cutting off their benefits. We don't want to see that. We'd like to see a benefit continue, perhaps on a reduced basis as they are able to earn more income, so that people can continue to be better off by working, not punished for working. We introduced the Job Restart program to assist in addressing those penalties by introducing an incentive of our own to make up for the loss people would suffer under the federal program design to assist them. And we've already, in just a few days, had over 2,500 Manitobans apply for the Restart program, and we are getting hundreds of new applications daily. We are leading the country, but we are not out of the woods yet. And I wouldn't want this, my statements today to be misconstrued as suggesting that we should ease off in any way our efforts as we move forward. We have more Manitobans unemployed than at any time since the Great Depression. A high percentage of people are looking for work, higher than has ever been the case in the lifetime of most Manitobans. And we must do everything we can to help create jobs for these people and to give them the opportunity to become self-sufficient again. Nous devons aider à créer des emplois pour ces personnes et leur donner les possibilités de devenir autonomes. So today, I am very pleased to announce a new expansion of our Back to Work wage subsidy program. This initiative will supplement and support our other well-subscribed programs. The expansion of these programs will increase the opportunities for employees to get back to work. If they have been on-served, they will also be eligible for the $2,000 incentive program that we initiated just 2 weeks ago. Our expansion and deepening of our programs, and I'll get into that in a second, will allow employers and employees to offer the services that Manitobans depend upon and rely upon, and to help us to recover. The new enhanced Back to Work program will reimburse up to $5,000 each for up to 10 new workers, to a maximum of $50,000 per business, and I would emphasize this is also going to be a program that nonprofit organizations and charities would be able to apply to if they wish. Manitoba businesses that have already benefited from summer wage subsidies will be eligible for this new program as well. This program will also be extended for any new hires to the end of October. So it is not just for, I want to be clear, it's not just for summer employment, it goes into the fall. We would all like COVID to go away. We would all like this pandemic and its challenges to end, but realistically, we know that it will take time for our economy to grow back, and so this program will be needed for a longer period than all of us would hope. Employers that have received financial support from other various provincial and federal programs are all going to be eligible. This is a wide open program of renewal. Our goal is to see Manitoba continue to lead in the economic recovery of our province. We all understand, because we're Canadians and part of the Canadian family, and Manitobans are proud of that, that we need other provinces to succeed too. But our focus with these programs is to help Manitoba lead the way. Set an example, and perhaps others can follow it and benefit from it. We've led in creating a safe environment for our people, and that has enabled us to lead in terms of our economic recovery as well. And we understand that the safety of our people is paramount, but being safe and being unemployed is hardly a recipe for joy or success in life. And so what we're after here is being safe and employed instead. Ce que nous recherchons, c'est d'être en sécurité et de travailler à la place. Thank you. Happy to take your questions. And if I rush a little today, I want to be clear. I don't mean to, but we do have our first caucus meeting in a number of weeks. And so I would like to see my colleagues, many of whom I haven't had the chance to see for a number of weeks. So I'll do my best to answer all your questions. I think we're starting with, I believe, the folks on the phone today, as we have been alternating from on-site to off-site.
Yes, Mr. Premier, thank you. And first up, from CTV Winnipeg, Stephanie.
Hi, Mr. Premier. So I see that you mentioned that in this program, nonprofits and charities are eligible. So is this different than from what was offered before, their eligibility from before?
It's in addition to, Stephanie. So the program we've offered for charities up till now was to enhance summer student employment, and I thank the hundreds of charities and nonprofits that have involved themselves already in that program. This is in addition to that. So they would be able to create up to 10 additional jobs if they would choose to, and we would support to the tune of up to $50,000 their ability to hire people back up until the end of October.
Thank you. And you mentioned, you talked a lot about younger people getting jobs. Is this kind of a focus in this expansion of the initiative?
No. Actually, my grandmother would say at this point, toot, toot. I'm going to blow on our horn here. But the fact is we've done a really good job of helping young people find jobs. That's not to suggest everyone has one who wants one yet. But what we want to do is broaden our programs to allow people of any age. I referenced the other day a friend of mine, she's 37, she has 2 kids, she's a single mom. She needs to get back to work too. And so this program is not age restrictive. Could be any age. And we're trying to create job opportunities for all Manitobans here who wish to get back to work safely.
From Global, Marnie.
Good afternoon, Mr. Premier. Marnie Blunt from Global News. Just touching on the point about 2,500 Manitobans signing up for the Restart program. So far, we have nearly about 246,000 that have applied for CERB. Just kind of what's your reaction on the feedback so far, and is it, enough to get Manitobans away from CERB and back in the workforce?
Well, Marnie, it's a challenge on a number of fronts, I think. The federal program for CERB creates a bit of a penalty for people if they want to go back and earn more than $1,000. If they earn $1,000, they get the $2,000 CERB check, so they have a total of $3,000 per month. But if they earn $1,001, they lose all of the CERB check, and that is a disincentive for folks to go back and work more hours, obviously. Bill Morneau, the federal finance minister, has spoken about this. There was a published report, I believe on Friday or Saturday in the Globe and Mail, where Minister Morneau was talking about the challenges with that program. And others have acknowledged it, certainly, as we've had the discussions with Ottawa, but they need to proceed with a design change. Until they do, we want to reduce the penalties on workers when they go back to work, and that's where our Job Restart grant comes in handy for people. Also, we need to get the word out on the availability of these new programs, and so we'll be talking more about ways to get the message out in the coming days.
From the Brandon Sun, Colin.
Hi, Mr. Premier. I was just wondering if this expansion will provide a subsidy to sole proprietors?
Absolutely. The programs we have offered to date for sole proprietors, the GAP program, and also the wage support programs, are ones that have been accessed pretty significantly. I don't have the numbers with me here today, but I can tell you pretty significantly by one-person companies. Obviously, by extending the program and broadening it, this doesn't have the same degree of help for a company that has one employee as it might for someone who has the potential to hire 10 more. So, of course, the program is going to offer the chance to create more work, and I would encourage sole proprietors who think that they may be able to use the help of another person to consider hiring someone. We'll offer 50% wage support for them to do that.
And my follow-up question is, for the Job Restart program and the Student Job program, do you know what regions of the province have had the highest uptake numbers for them?
Yeah, again, I don't have those with me, though I've reviewed them. I can tell you, of course, that the Winnipeg region is leading in every category because, of course, that's where the predominant population and GDP is in our province. But Brandon is, I know, a close second. We could get you those numbers, though. I see my aide de camp here is nodding, so we should be able to get you a breakdown by region that you could have a look at.
Thank you to our reporters on the phone. We now open the floor to questions for the Premier.
If I'm not mistaken, there was 120 million was sort of set aside for these wage subsidy programs. Are we including this program within that same 120 million?
We are, but I hope that the budget goes higher. Because some things don't cost, they pay. And the payback on getting people back to work is enormous. If we can make our recovery a V shape, then the sooner we can do that, we went down fast, we can come back up fast, then Manitoba is going to be able to have its economy churning out services, new jobs, opportunities for people. And as importantly, the tax revenues derived from that can be used to support our health care, our social services, our infrastructure investments, and many other services that are paid for by a functional economy. So the sooner we can get our people back to work in this province, the better off we're all going to be.
That 120 million was initially for students, and then you expanded that to no age restrictions, and now you're expanding it again. Is it because that this program has sort of been undersubscribed?
No, actually, the subscriptions are on schedule. over 45 million on the GAP program. It wasn't just for students, Ian, I should just clarify. Our initial announcement was to support with a $6,000 immediate injection of cash any small business that wasn't able to get support from the federal program, plus up to 5 employees at $5,000 each. That program, the student program is, as I said, on track to hit 9,000, and we expect that to go up to closer to 10. The GAP program, 7,500 companies have already applied, and that's steadily growing. It's interesting. I'd initially thought, and our analysts had initially thought, that we'd see a big uptake and then it would slide. That's not what's happening on the graph. It's continuing to rise. So I think that speaks to more smaller companies just getting off the ground and getting back going. So this is where this program's, I'm announcing today, the extension of the time period and the deepening to allow more employees to be hired is very relevant, because the economy doesn't come back all at once. It's coming back steadily here in Manitoba. It is coming back, though, and that's exciting. We can get you, rather than me give you all the details here, I just say we can get you more details. I have an updated sheet here.
There were some statistics, StatsCan's labor statistics last week said Manitoba was doing second best in terms of rebounding from pre-pandemic times. But there are still thousands of people out of work, and some businesses may not be able to rehire people because they're limited in what they can do and what they can offer. So is there help available? Is there more help coming for those businesses that might not be in a position due to public health orders to hire more people and operate at something new normal?
Yeah, it's dead on with your preamble. The best thing we can do, all of us, for these businesses that are in somewhat limited capacity, is to follow the fundamentals and make sure we stay safe. The safer we are as people, the more confident we'll be. And if we're confident that we can go out safely, we'll support our small businesses. I believe that Manitobans are very loyal to Manitoba's small business community, and especially now as we see the challenges that our friends and neighbors are facing here. That is the fundamental reason that we've been able to accelerate our recovery, and that's going to be the key going forward. The wage subsidy program, however, in the way it's structured, allows those companies who wish to start up the latitude, because what it does is, say you used to have 5 employees, but you feel you want to start on a limited basis with 3. When you hire those 3 back, you can apply to the wage subsidy program, and you have $15,000 free that you wouldn't have had otherwise. Then you can apply that $15,000 to things you may want to do. We have an incredibly diverse business community. Not every business has the same needs. Each is not the same. Some businesses may want to invest in more PPE. Others may wish to invest in shields or protections. Others may wish to do, a friend of mine has a grocery store, and he's had to spend some money on directional guidance, we'll call it, for his store. Each business is not the same, but they all depend on personnel, to some degree HR. And so the HR is the common thread. So when you hire people back, we'll help you with up to 50% of the salary for that person, up to now to 10 people.
But this is a reimbursement after the
Fair enough.
So
Interest rates are at all-time lows. To be fair, I've been in business. I can tell you, if the government of Manitoba is promising me I get 50% of my wage expenses back, and we've extended it now, so granted it can go out to November before I get my money back on the new program. The old program, we'd have the money back in September. I'm taking that to the bank, literally. That's money that's freed up for me to do other things with. And I'm thankful for that. And we got lots of thanks from the business community on the way we've designed our programs.
Mr. Premier, a quick question on your government's commitment to downtown Winnipeg. We know you have promised Starlight Investments about $28 million in TIF funding. How important is it in your view that other levels of government kind of come to the table in a meaningful way? And what does this project kind of mean for the growth of Winnipeg?
Well, we're excited about the project, and that's why we were the first government to get on board with offering support to Starlight. And we've certainly worked in tandem with other levels of government effectively, I think. I won't make comments about their decision-making processes. That's entirely up to them. But I will say, you know, we're hopeful of the success of that project. We think that the rejuvenation of downtown Winnipeg is a key. That's why we've invested in so many other ways in assuring that happens, including, but not limited to, significant investments in new programming to help those who are dealing with addictions, challenges in that respect, because we know that that's an issue not unique to Winnipeg, but certainly an issue that does pertain to improving safety in our downtown communities and the better health of our downtown community.
Mr. Premier, those who've already applied for this wage subsidy, are they now able to go back and reapply? And in that case, it would just be for another 5 positions, or can they go for another 10 positions?
Another 10.
Another 10.
Yeah. If you haven't used it, you can use the program. The other programs applications are going to be suspended very soon. So this is the new program. It's a bigger one. We would argue it's broader in its ability to be used, and you can file your application starting tomorrow.
Is this something that you were hearing demand for from the business community, specifically an increase of this program?
Yeah, and we noted, and it was observed by various business, as we are doing, as I mentioned earlier, consulting with our broad-based, our business industrial community on now weekly calls, that a number of companies, A, weren't aware of our programs, so we're going to be increasing the awareness of them. B, weren't in a position, as Steve alluded to earlier, yet to use them because of restrictions. We've now lifted not all, but many of those restrictions. Now companies are wanting to gear up, and they want to gear up. We are there to help them when they do that.
Premier, you mentioned addictions as something that's not, you know, just Winnipeg's problem, but do you see addictions as a health issue or as a crime issue? And do you ever see any circumstance where self-consumption or safe consumption sites would be okay in Manitoba?
Well, we've taken dozens of initiatives forward on this issue. On the public health side, we've invested additional tens of millions of programs just since the election in addressing not just the consequences, but also addressing the root causes of addictions challenges in our province. This is the issue of injection sites has become, I think, a focus for some, but it is really only one of literally dozens of ways to address the challenges, and we're dealing with those issues, complex issues as they are, in, I think, thoughtful ways based on the advice of experts in our departments, and achieving, we think, initially at least some success in doing so.
You mentioned that back to this program, you mentioned that you'd like, you know, to go above that 120 million estimate. Are your analysts predicting that that is what will happen now?
This isn't an issue that, to quote the Prime Minister, this might get us into conjecture. We're into an area now without precedent. I could give you my best guesses, but they'd just be guesses. I can tell you that if our economy was to respond faster, that our budget would go out the roof, and that would be a good thing. So this is one of those things where I don't see how you lose. You lose if there isn't an uptake on the programs, maybe more than you would gain, right? So I think the idea here is you're investing in programs that will help people get back to work. That has its advantages. I've talked to many people who are suffering, have suffered a lot through this process, whose families are feeling the hit, and they don't want to be unserved the rest of their lives. They want to be back working, and you know, our programs are designed to help people get that opportunity back.
You mentioned the programs would be suspended shortly.
I beg your pardon?
You mentioned that programs would be suspended shortly and this would sort of take over.
Those programs are slated for intake to end at the end of July. The programs were designed, the summer student program was designed to cease operation as the school year would commence. So naturally those programs will fade away. I should mention though, and the question was asked before about youth employment, I personally was fortunate to have, I would say fortunate. I was fortunate to have the chance to get a job through my university years because I needed to have a job to support myself, not just in the summer. but over the winter while I was in studies. And so I should mention to potential employers across Manitoba that this program is also one that you would be able to use for young people who are in that situation. There are lots of small businesses that can employ people off regular class hours, employ people on a shift that doesn't interfere with their studies, that type of thing. So I just would want to make mention of that, because I know there are a number of young people still who would like to get a job opportunity, and they wouldn't mind having a job opportunity after the end of August too, when studies resume for them. Good. Thanks, everybody.